A married couple liked to visit rural estate sales. One day, they found an antique grandfather clock at one such sale. The family selling it didn't want to talk about it or give any history on it. They just wanted to get rid of it. The couple bought the clock cheap because it was broken and didn't tick or chime. The only sound it made was a hollow thump every 12 hours. When they got it home, they wound it up to hear it chime. But nothing happened. Every night at precisely 4:44 a.m., the clock would begin ticking loudly for exactly 1 minute. For that 1 minute, time in the house felt different. Their bed, which was always cool, would become uncomfortably hot. Then as suddenly as it began, the ticking would stop. The minute hand would be pointing to exactly the same spot as before. But now it was 4:45 a.m. It took them a few weeks to notice that during that 1 minute, strange things happened. A nearby light would dim. A houseplant would wilt. A cut that had fully healed would start bleeding again. Things were happening in reverse. At first, it was just a strange curiosity. But as the days passed and the ticking grew louder, it became clear that the clock wasn't keeping time. It was rewinding it. They started paying closer attention to their surroundings. One night, they noticed a photo on the wall leaning slightly to the left. The next night, it was straight. The night after that, it was leaning slightly to the right. Other pictures did the same, but these tiny changes weren't the strangest thing. One night, the couple woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of the clock ticking. They couldn't see their bedroom from where they lay, so they switched on the bedside lamp to find that they were in the kitchen. How had they got there? They hadn't walked. How long had they been asleep? They went back to bed and tried to sleep again. In the morning, they discussed what had happened the night before. Then it hit them. Every night when the clock ticked, they had woken up in a different place. That explained why their bed always seemed rumpled, even though they both liked to read in bed. Neither of them could remember reading anything that night or the night before. In fact, they couldn't remember much of anything since they'd moved in. That night, while the clock was ticking, they decided to stay still. They weren't going to try and go anywhere. As the minute passed, they watched in horror as their bodies began moving on their own. They were walking toward the hallway, but their faces remained fixed. They could feel themselves moving, but they couldn't control it. They were walking, they knew, because when they turned their heads, they saw that they were standing still in the hallway. The next night, the pendulum began swinging backwards. The couple watched in horror as the hands moved backwards. Now, the minute it struck 4:44, they heard chains dragging metal moans. Then everything went silent. The clock froze with the hands pointing to 4:43. They found old photo albums. Inside, they found photos of the house dated 1904. In one photo, they saw themselves. They were standing in the same hallway. They looked identical to the couple in the photo. And yet, this was clearly not them. Why did they have the same face? And how were they younger? Then it hit them. This wasn't their house. It had never been. They'd just been living in it. But if that was true, then whose house was it? And where were they? Every night at precisely 4:44, the clock would strike. Once it did, the couple would vanish without a trace. A moment later, a new couple would arrive at the house. They'd walk through the door and look around, bewildered. They'd have no idea how they got there, and neither would anyone who ever bought the house after that. The clock would chime again, and the new couple would disappear. Then another would take their place. And so it went on forever. The clock waited patiently for its next victims, counting down the minutes until 4:44.